Hello everyone, my name is Susan. During this video we will be learning about video games, their content rating systems, the types of game content and related communities, online safety, and citizenship. By the end of this program, you will have the resources to evaluate games for your family and household. Let's get started. Content advisory is often a topic of discussion when it comes to any type of media, whether it is music, movies, or video games. For music albums, there's the parental advisory label that you see in front of you. These are two examples of music album covers. Do you know where you can find the content advisory label on CDs? For music albums, the content advisory labels are typically located on the front cover in the lower right or lower left corners. These labels are optional and may not appear on all albums. So we've looked at music albums, but what about movies? Do you know where you can find the content rating for a movie? The content rating, along with the descriptors, can be found on the back of most movie cases. For example, this movie is rated PG-13 due to intense sequences of science fiction violence and peril. The content rating can also be found on the disc of the movie as well. How many of you are familiar with this label and where it can be found and what type of media it applies to? If you said video games, you're right. This is an example of a video game cover. Do you know where you can find the rating for this game? The content rating can be found on both the front cover and typically the lower left. The content rating and descriptors can be found on the back of the game case, typically in a lower corner somewhere. This is an example of a video game case that shows what information can be found where. On the front cover, which is in green, at the top is the console for this game. Beneath that is the title and box art. Box art is art that is on the box. In the case of special editions, there may only be art on the cover. The game rating for most cases is located in the lower left corner, and typically the studio name is located in the lower right corner. On the spine of the case, which are the orange boxes, at the top you have the console or platform that the game can be played on. Sometimes it's just a logo, but it should match the console on the front of the cover. Then it lists the title of the game, and typically at the bottom is the game company name or logo. On the back cover, which are blue squares, you can find, going from top to bottom, are the screenshots or images from the game, a description of the game, additional features and information about the game, such as how many players are needed, if there's online play, and various warnings. Studios are sometimes listed. At the bottom, you can find the UPC code and rating with content descriptors. This information may be reversed on some cases where the UPC code might be on the right and the rating and content descriptors are on the left. There may be some variation in game covers depending on the size of the case, but this is the typical layout of information. Let's learn more about the video game ratings and content descriptors, how they are decided, and how to use them to evaluate a game. How many of you have ever heard of the ESRB and know what ESRB stands for? The ESRB are the Entertainment Software Rating Board. They're a nonprofit self-regulatory body that assigns ratings for video games and apps so that parents can make more informed choices. The ESRB rating system encompasses guidance about age appropriateness, content, and interactive elements. As part of its self-regulatory role for the video game industry, the ESRB also enforces industry-adopted advertising guidelines and helps ensure responsible web and mobile privacy practices under its privacy certified program. The ESRB was established in 1994 by the Entertainment Software Association, so games published before 1994 may not have the ESRB rating on the case, but you can always check on their website for additional games or if they have rated any past games. Their mission statement is to empower consumers, especially parents, with guidance that allows them to make informed decisions about the age appropriateness and suitability of video games and apps while holding the video game industry accountable for responsible marketing practices. Let's take a look at the ESRB ratings. The lowest rating that a game can receive is EC, which stands for early childhood. Games with this rating contain content which is aimed towards a preschool audience. The games do not contain content that parents would find objectionable to younger audiences. This is actually an older rating that only appears on some games. They actually discontinued it in 2018. We've included it in this presentation because it does appear on a number of different games. So our next rating is E, which stands for everyone. Content is generally suitable for all ages. The games may contain minimal cartoon fantasy or mild violence and or infrequent use of mild language. Next is E10, which stands for everyone 10 and up. Content is generally suitable for ages 10 and up, may contain more cartoon fantasy or mild violence, mild language, and or minimal suggestive themes. Next is T for teen. Content is generally suitable for ages 13 and up. The games may contain violence, suggestive themes, crude humor, minimal blood, simulated gambling, and or infrequent use of strong language. Then we have M for mature. Content is generally suitable for ages 17 and up, may contain intense violence, blood and gore, sexual content, and or strong language. Then there's AO, which is adults only. Content suitable only for adults ages 18 and up, may include prolonged scenes of intense violence, graphic sexual content, and or gambling with real currency. And last but not least is RP for rating pending. Not yet assigned a final ESRB rating. This typically only appears in advertising, marketing, and promotional materials related to a physical game that is expected to carry an ESRB rating and should be replaced by a game's rating once it has been assigned one. Let's talk about the additional elements that contribute to a game's overall rating. One of these is content descriptors, which indicate content that may have caused a particular rating and or may be of interest or concern to parents or players. One of the other elements that contributes to rating is the interactive element. Interactive elements highlight interactive or online features of a product, including users' ability to interact with each other, the sharing of users' locations with other users, if purchases of digital goods or services are offered, and or if unrestricted internet access is provided. Now, as you'll see in the example on the right-hand side of the screen, this screenshot was taken from a game that was rated E10, so everyone 10 and up, due to the existence of cartoon violence and crude humor. In the interactive elements box, you can see that there's a note that online interactions are not rated by the ESRB, and we'll get into that a little bit more when we talk more about online gameplay. Now that we've learned about the ratings and content descriptors, let's look at a sample game. This is an example of a game title and its rating information that can be found on the ESRB website. For the next few slides, we will be reviewing the content of the ESRB rating for the game Stardew Valley. Stardew Valley is a role-playing game in which players move to the country after inheriting a farm. So on the left-hand side are the platforms, which list the platforms that this game is available on. A platform is the device being used to play the game, whether it is a console, computer, tablet, or mobile phone. Beneath the platform's information is the ESRB rating and content descriptors. Remember, E plus 10 means that this game is for everyone ages 10 up. The reason for that rating are the content descriptors just to the right of that rating, such as fantasy violence, mild blood, mild language, simulated gambling, use of alcohol, and tobacco. On the right-hand side of your screen, you can see the rating summary, which provides a brief description of the game and additional information related to the content descriptors listed. In the orange box, we've highlighted two of the descriptors of fantasy violence and mild blood, and in the blue box in the rating summary, those content descriptors were included because some quests require players to explore caves and battle cartoony enemies. These are jelly creatures, crabs, and flying dragon monsters. From a top-down perspective, players use swords to briefly strike creatures and deplete their health meters. Beneath the rating and content descriptors is where you can find interactive elements. In this game, there are no interactive elements. The ESRB is not the only video game rating system out there. There's also PEGI. Who's PEGI, you ask? PEGI stands for the Pan-European Game Information. Their age rating system was established to help European parents make informed decisions on buying computer and video games. It was launched in the spring of 2003 and replaced a number of national age rating systems with a single system now used throughout most of Europe. You don't need to memorize the PEGI rating and content descriptors, but it is recommended to be aware of them. Game companies exist all over the world and will sometimes use the PEGI system to rate a game that is coming out. The PEGI age labels going from youngest to eldest. PEGI 3, the content of games with a PEGI 3 rating are considered suitable for all ages. This game should not contain any sound or pictures that are likely to frighten young children. A very mild form of violence in a comical context or a childlike setting is acceptable. No bad language should be heard. PEGI 7, game content with scenes or sounds that can possibly frighten younger children should fall in this category. Very mild forms of violence, implied, non-detailed, or non-realistic violence are acceptable for a game with a PEGI 7 rating. PEGI 12 video games show violence of a slightly more graphic nature towards fantasy characters or non-realistic violence towards human-like characters would fall in this age category. Sexual innuendo or sexual posturing can be present, while any bad language in this category must be mild. Gambling, as it is normally carried out in real life in casinos or gambling halls, can also be present. As an example, card games that in real life would be played for money. Next, we have PEGI 16. This rating is applied once the depiction of violence or sexual activity reaches a stage that looks the same as would be expected in real life. The use of bad language in games with a PEGI 16 rating can be more extreme, while games of chance and the use of tobacco, alcohol, or illegal drugs can also be present. Next, we have PEGI 18. The adult classification is applied when the level of violence reaches a stage where it becomes a depiction of gross violence, apparently motiveless killings, or violence towards defenseless characters. The glamorization of the use of illegal drugs and explicit sexual activity should also fall into this age category. Just like the ESRB has content descriptors, PEGI also has content descriptors that they use. These content descriptors are bad language, discrimination, drugs, fear, gambling, sex, violence, and online interactions. You can find more information about the PEGI ratings and their content descriptors at pegi.info. Many games also offer additional content that add on to the base game, meaning that you need the base game to be able to play the additional content. This content is often unrated, meaning that the ESRB did not review the content or the content was not available when they originally evaluated the game. In most cases, though, the content is in line with the rating of the base game. One example of additional game content that is available is downloadable content, which is also referred to as DLC. This is optional add-on content available for many games. The type of content will vary from game to game. It could be levels, equipment, or just cosmetics. Some games will also offer players the chance to create and share their own content. There are also expansions. Expansions are similar to DLC in that it offers additional content. The difference is that it typically offers a larger amount of new content to the game than DLC does. Cosmetic elements are items that change the appearance of the game in some way. It might be a skin or character costume, a voice line, or spray, which is an in-game sticker. As we mentioned before, there is also player-created content. Player-created content is when games offer players the ability to create and share their own content with other players. This content may or may not be reviewed by the game creators. Some games may also offer a multiplayer or co-op mode. Multiplayer and co-op just refer to the ability to play a game with other people. We'll be talking about this a little bit later in the presentation. So let's take a look at some examples of downloadable content, or DLC. Some games offer free DLC. Animal Crossing New Horizons on the Nintendo Switch is an example of a game that has free DLC. They have been releasing additional content on a semi-seasonal basis. This image is the update from the fall update, which added the ability to grow pumpkins and create pumpkin-related decor. The summer update added the ability to swim in the waters around the island. In addition to the free DLC Animal Crossing New Horizons provides, it also offers player-created content, which again means that players have the opportunity to create and share designs and clothing content via codes generated within the game. The designs can be applied to in-game items and the clothing worn by players in-game. One note, again, about player-created content is that it is not rated by the ESRB, so you should always double-check what your child is downloading. Let's take a look at a game that offers paid DLC. For this example, we will be looking at Assassin's Creed Syndicate, which offers a variety of paid DLC. For example, they have the Jack the Ripper campaign, which is just a series of missions that are played together. The Last Maharaja, which is also a set of missions. There are also additional missions and activities that you can complete within game, as well as some outfits and weapons. Some games that offer paid DLC will offer what is called a season pass. A season pass is when you prepay for the DLC content in advance and typically receive a discount on the cost of the DLC. For example, with Assassin's Creed Syndicate, if you purchase all the DLC as individual pieces, it costs about $40. Buying the season pass costs about $30, which is a savings of about 25%. Many games have also offered the ability to buy the season pass when you're buying the base game, which sometimes also provides an additional discount. Paid DLC may also be released at a later time in a bundle, collection, or Game of the Year edition. BioShock the Collection is an example of a game being re-released with its DLC as part of a collection. That is the text that you see beneath each of the titles. Now let's talk about expansion packs. Expansion packs typically add a lot of content to games. The Sims is a popular game that features a lot of add-on content in the form of various expansions and smaller packs. We will be using The Sims 4 as our example, which offers 3 different sizes of additional content. There are the expansion packs, which are teal and add a large amount of content, game packs, which are blue and add a medium amount of content to the game, and stuff packs, which are green and add a small amount of content to the game. How much content it adds to the game is also reflected in the price of the pack. Expansion packs cost the most, game packs cost a medium amount, and stuff packs cost the least amount. A benefit of this model is that it allows players to pick and choose what, if anything, they would like to add on to the game. You could add all of these packs, some of them, or none of them, and still enjoy the game. Whereas DLC is not typically rated, in the case of The Sims, additional content is rated, which you can see in the lower left and right-hand corners of each of the packs. Some of these packs do not have their ratings due to where we sourced the screenshot from. Now we're going to talk more about cosmetic elements. Cosmetic elements are items that change the appearance of the game in some way. These are included in the game as a way for players to personalize their character or avatar. Some examples of cosmetic elements are skins or costumes, which is something that the character wears, voice lines, which is something that the character says, emotes, an in-game action a character can take, sometimes accompanied by a voice line, and sprays, an in-game sticker. Our first cosmetic example is coming from the game Fall Guys Ultimate Knockout. On the left-hand side, you have a basic jelly bean, and on the right, you have a jelly bean with cosmetic additions. The jelly bean with the cosmetic additions has both a costume with the eggshell top on it and pattern, the dripping paint, and in a specialty color scheme. In Fall Guys, the cosmetics do not impact gameplay, they just allow for players to personalize their avatars. Our next cosmetic example comes from the game Overwatch. This is the basic skin or costume for the character Tracer. On the right is a cosmetic skin. Similar to Fall Guys, Overwatch cosmetics do not impact the gameplay. One difference, though, is that cosmetics are applied as a whole skin in Overwatch, so you can't swap out different tops and bottoms and paint scheme as you can in Fall Guys. Next, we are going to be talking about microtransactions. Microtransactions are a business model gaming companies are utilizing within games where users can purchase virtual goods for varying amounts of money called micropayments. Where can they be found? Everywhere. They are especially prominent in mobile games, but they also appear in platform games as well. This screenshot is from the mobile game Homescapes, which offers the ability to buy additional credits and bonuses for anywhere from $1 and up. The more you spend, the more you get. What's the concern? How quickly those amounts can add up and how prevalent this model is becoming, especially when it comes to free-to-play games. Free-to-play games are games that don't cost anything to download and play. Many games that are free-to-play may also offer in-app or in-game purchases, which you can see on the right-hand side just below the title Homescapes. It lists that there are in-app purchases. When a free-to-play game offers premiums for microtransactions, it is called a freemium game. You can play it for free, but it will push additional purchases. And typically those purchases, again, are small. It might be $1 or $2. And before you know it, the game that you downloaded for free on your phone has now cost you over $30. And what kind of content are most of these games offering in microtransactions? The same in-game currency that you earn from completing levels. Using our Homescapes example, the coins that it shows for sale, you can earn by completing different levels. You can also earn the additional bonuses from completing levels. It's kind of like a small booster that you can add on. Another type of microtransaction that is popular in games is the loot box. How loot boxes typically work is that they contain a random assortment of in-game items, typically cosmetic, and these loot boxes, for example in Overwatch, can be earned by leveling up or playing special modes. You can also purchase additional boxes. And when you go to purchase those additional boxes, some games will even offer bonus boxes if you are buying more of them. Again, the more you buy, the more bonus boxes you get. The concern is the prevalence of this model across a variety of different games and how it affects the overall cost of the game. Say that you bought a game for $30 and then spent $20 on several smaller purchases of varying amounts for loot boxes or extra bonuses. That game has now cost you $50. What if you bought a brand new game for $60 and then spent, say, $40 across several smaller loot box transactions? That game has now cost you $100. So what's the best way to manage microtransactions and loot boxes? Set a budget for video games, which we will delve into further a bit later. Next, we're going to be talking about the number of players and online play. Video games, like board games, need a certain number of players to be able to play the game. This information is noted on the back of the game cases or in the detailed information of games from various retailers. Single player is a game that is played by one player on one screen. Some of these games do have online features or additional multiplayer modes, but they are not required to play the overall game. Some examples of this are Tomb Raider, Assassin's Creed, and Animal Crossing New Horizons, which will be our example for this. Animal Crossing New Horizons is an example of a game that offers a single-player experience. You go around the island, taking care of the plants and trees, catching animals and bugs, and talking with various villagers. Basically, you're building an entire island up throughout the course of the game, and you can play by yourself and have just as much fun. Solo Battle Royale is a game that means it is one player against a lot of other players. How many other players depends largely on the game. This is an example of the game Fall Guys, which uses the solo battle royal model. You are a single player competing in various different activities and races, typically against 60 other opponents until there is only one player remaining. Then we have multiplayer, which means a game that is played by one or more players on one or more screens at the same time. For this example, we'll be using the game Overwatch. In Overwatch, there are various maps where you compete against another team to complete different objectives. Sometimes it's a capture the point, sometimes it's a move the item across the map, and teams are typically 6 on 6. In some of the smaller modes, there are different versions of it, but typically you play as a part of a team of 6, which you can see here. There is also co-op mode. A cooperative or co-op game is a type of multiplayer where 2 or more players are playing on the same screen, split screen, or via network. Animal Crossing New Horizons, for example, does offer a co-op experience. For our example today, though, we are going to be looking at the game Unravel 2. In Unravel 2, you play both a red and blue Yarny, and if you're playing in co-op mode, you work together with another player to complete levels and objectives. As you can see, the red Yarny is moving pieces of the map around so that way the blue Yarny can complete the journey and reach the same point. In addition to online interactions within games, there are also online communities that you should be aware of and talking with your children about. YouTube is a platform for watching videos where you can find everything from trailers, which are advertisements and teasers for games, gameplay videos, which are videos of what gameplay within the game will look like, Let's Play videos, which document how someone is playing through a game, and How to Play videos, which are videos on how to do certain moves or navigate difficult portions of a game. There's also Twitch. Twitch is a streaming platform for games and art. Streamers are people sharing video of themselves and what they are playing or making. These streamers are able to rate their channel as general or mature, so always check the streamer's rating in addition to the rate of the game being played. Steam is a platform for purchasing digital games, meaning you do not receive a physical disc with the purchase. Along with selling games, it also offers an online community giving users message boards, the ability to send gifts and games, and also offer multiplayer and co-op modes. Discord is a communication platform that offers message board chat conversations, but also has voice and video chat capabilities. For example, many Twitch streamers use Discord to chat with viewers when they are not actively streaming. I know it's a popular choice for having player discussions within the game Among Us, which only offers a chat feature, and it allows people to play games from all over the world together. This is not an exhaustive list of possible communities, and there will always be more popping up. Again, always talk with your children about who they are talking with and how they are communicating with those people. Reading reviews of games is a great way to learn about games. You can also visit the ESRB.org or commonsensemedia.org to learn more about different games that are out or are coming out. There are also groups like IGN and Game Informer, which are 2 websites for game reviews and content. Again, as we keep saying, talk with your children. Review the basics of online safety. Don't give out your real name, don't say how old you are, and don't say where you live. Engage with them. Ask them, what are you playing? Who are you playing with? How do you know that person? Related to online safety is being a good digital citizen. This entails not only being a good citizen when playing games, but also when interacting with online communities. If you are looking for resources to help teach your child about being a good digital citizen, we recommend checking out commonsensemedia.org, which has lesson plans for all ages, and also Be Internet Awesome, which is provided by Google. Be Internet Awesome is a learning module series created by Google centered around 5 keywords of being smart, alert, strong, kind, and brave, that each connect with a piece of advice. You do not need to sign up for an account to access them, and it includes a contract you can print and fill out. For games that require online interaction, review if there are guidelines put out by the company, methods of behavior that they don't approve of, and have a plan for what to do when your child encounters bad behavior when playing online. Know, does the game offer the ability to report bad behavior such as swearing, sabotaging the team, throwing a match, abusive chat, or cheating? If the game does not offer this, check at the platform level. For example, the PlayStation will list the players that you recently interacted with in games. So that's the second way to report if someone was not being a good digital citizen. If you aren't sure how to do this, again, using a web browser to search, there are a lot of guides and videos that can walk you through the process. In the next couple of slides, we will be discussing some popular games, specifically games that are available on mobile devices. Let's review the layout for app information for Android, which is in the top box, and for Apple, which is in the lower box. In both systems, you have the game app icon, which is typically the logo for the game or app. To the right of that is the title of the game or the name of the app. Below that somewhere is the publisher, which is the person who made the app. For apps that are games, there's typically a genre type, like what type of game is it? Is it a puzzle? Is it an action adventure? Is it a visual novel? And there are also star ratings based on user reviews, which is what do people think of this game. These reviews can be very subjective and are not always the most helpful. If you are looking for an official review of a game or app, we recommend doing a web search for the app and review, and that should pull up some more reliable reviews. For apps that are games, there may be an ESRB rating attached to it. I believe that the app stores also do offer like a in-app game rating system. And beneath that, there is a price. How much does it cost to initially download that app or game? Related to that price is the information if there are in-app purchases, which if it lists it, it means that there are in-app purchases that are available. Sometimes it is a flat rate to remove all ads from something, but in many cases it is going to be microtransactions. So now let's take a look at some of the most popular apps. First, we're going to be talking about Minecraft, which is rated E10 or everyone 10 and up. What is Minecraft? Minecraft is a virtual sandbox within which players are given tools that they can use to explore a vast world, harvest resources, and create nearly anything they can possibly imagine. The story in Minecraft is whatever the player wants it to be, as players customize their worlds and the creatures in it, and how they choose to interact. Throughout the Minecraft multiverse are infinite possibilities, and it's up to you to create your own. Now, if you don't know what a sandbox game is, a sandbox is a type of video game with an open world design wherein players have the option to modify the game world as well as explore without restrictions or limitations, meaning there's no specific storyline that they have to follow or series of actions that they have to take. In many ways, a true sandbox game gives players the same tools as a designer of the game, allowing them to change or adjust the gameplay to suit their needs. Minecraft is available on both video game consoles, mobile, and PCs. Within the game, there are also different modes that you can play in. There's Creative Mode, which, as the name implies, is focused on creative play. The players have access to infinite resources, can fly, can't be injured by things in-game like lava, being underwater, or aggressive mobs, and they are free to go wherever they wish. I always think of it as this mode is essentially like playing with virtual Lego blocks. This mode is ideal for kids as there's nothing to scare them, no aggressive mobs will spawn and attempt to attack them. There's tons of resources and there's no pressure to survive. You don't have to gather food, stave off hunger, or struggle to locate limited resources like wood. In survival mode, it's more like a traditional video game in that you have a health bar, which can be lost, and you need to gather resources like food, wood, coal to survive. In addition to working towards your survival in a player versus nature scenario, survival mode also introduces aggressive mobs like spiders and the zombies that come out at night and could attack the player. The difficulty ranges for this mode from peaceful, where you still need to survive but there are no hostile mobs, to more advanced modes like easy, normal, and hard, where there are hostile mobs and they have increasing health and deal increasing damage based on how hard you've made the game. There's also hardcore mode, which is the most difficult mode within the game. It's similar to survival mode except that you have just one life to live. If you fall in lava or get attacked by a mob of zombies, the game is over. Not only do you lose all the gear that you were carrying, but the world you explored and built up is permanently deleted. As you can see from the two screenshots of the apps, it is free to download, but it does offer in-app purchases that we'll be talking more about in a moment. Roblox is an online gaming platform where you can play games designed by other users, as well as create and share your own games using Roblox's proprietary game developing tool. Once you sign up, you can play an infinite number of games, build and share creations, and chat with other users, all for free. If your kids are serious about Roblox, though, they'll need Robux, and they'll probably want to subscribe to the Builders Club, which provides additional features for a membership fee. This game is available on Xbox One, mobile devices, and PC. Roblox offers two equally compelling modes, playing games and creating them. After registering, you have unrestricted access to both modes. However, most kids are just there to play. You can choose from a never-ending and continually evolving supply of creative and fun challenges in various categories, from shooters to mysteries to sports to fighting games. One frustrating note is that you can't sort games by genre, so finding ones you like is often a process of trial and error. You can also download Roblox Studio and work on building your own games. Gameplay can be uneven across the different user-created modes, but good creators tend to rise to the top of the feed. Some amateur developers use Roblox as a kind of portfolio to showcase their work for potential employers. For kids who are interested in creating their own games, Roblox offers a lot of instruction, a wiki, and a helpful player community. Creators can monetize their games to earn revenue by charging people Robux, the in-game currency, to play their games, and by offering pay-as-you-go in-game purchases, which are usually needed ahead of time. And one of the other most popular games out there is Fortnite, which is rated T for teen. Fortnite is a video game for multiple platforms that takes elements from sandbox building games and adds the fast-paced action of a third-person shooter, meaning that you see your character on the screen as they're interacting. There are two modes to the game, a solo version called Save the World, and the hugely popular multiplayer version called Battle Royale. Fortnite is currently available on video game consoles, mobile, and PC. Specifically for the app stores, they provide the Fortnite Battle Royale. So if your kids say that they're playing Fortnite, they're probably talking about Battle Royale, but always double check. Battle Royale is the free-to-play multiplayer offshoot version of the base game Fortnite. In this version, up to 100 people participate in a match together. Players are dropped onto the game map and must compete to be the last one standing by killing off all the other players in the game. During the game, players collect weapons, build safe structures, and try to avoid the storm that damages all players outside of a safe zone. Unlike the Save the World version, there aren't any zombies to kill, which makes it a less scary version to play. However, players can buy items to make themselves look like a zombie or another creepy character. There are also 3 different modes of play within Fortnite Battle Royale. There is solo mode, where you're dropped into the game alone. In duo mode, you're dropped in with a partner, and in squad mode, you can play on a team of 4. For playing the duo and squad mode, you can either play with friends or you can be randomly matched with other players. Now that we've learned about the game ratings and content related to games, let's talk about how to set standards and guidelines. Consider your household as a whole. How many children are there? How old are they? Are there a blend of different ages? Do you have a preschooler and a teenager? Just teenagers? Just young children? Do you have adults who play games and children as well? Based on who's in your household, you'll determine a standard for the household. What's the maximum game rating that you'll allow? Is it E for everyone, T for teen, M for mature? And do you want to restrict the genres that can be played? Are you comfortable with your children playing a first-person shooter, or would you prefer that they stick to more of the action-adventure or puzzle games or just racing games or something? If you have a blended household, such as a preschooler and a teenager, maybe you'll need to restrict some games from certain hours. I know households where they will wait until the young children go to bed to be able to play the games rated teen and mature. Always remember your standards are not set in stone, so be willing to adjust them as needed and explain why. I have friends, for example, who won't play Fall Guys late at night because it ends up winding them up too much and they have trouble getting to sleep afterwards. Once you've set the standard for the household, determine when games can be played, for how long, and where. When can games be played? Weekdays and weekends? Only certain times? Do you want to set a length of time that games can be played? 60 minutes? 2 hours? Recommend that your children take a break every hour for at least 5 minutes to catch their breath and drink water. Games are a lot of fun, but it's really easy to lose track of how thirsty you're getting playing certain games. Decide where games can be played. Are consoles kept in common spaces like a living room or family room? Are they in nearby rooms? Where are you keeping your PC? In the living room, dining room, or in a separate space? I know some parents who keep consoles in common spaces while others have kept certain consoles in their room to restrict access from them. Next, set a budget for games. Video games can have variable costs depending on various factors, such as if they're a new game, an older game, if it's a rare game to find. Most brand new games, for example, cost about $60 to $70. So if you buy 2 games a month, that would cost almost $150. If you're willing to wait a little longer for the game, sometimes the price will start dropping after the game has been out for a few months. Have a plan for what to do with your leftover budget. Maybe if you only spend $20 on games in a month, you might be able to save a little for the next month. When it comes to mobile apps, set a limit for in-app transactions, even if it's 0. Explain to your child that in-app purchases are not the best investment. They could spend $5 in an app for a temporary boost in-game, or they could take that $5 and sometimes get an entire game somewhere else. Watch for sales. Many of the platforms such as PlayStation Store, Xbox Marketplace, Nintendo eStore, and other retailers will put games on sale from time to time. The Nintendo eStore, for example, offers weekly deals where games may be anywhere from 10 to 90% off in price. Many of these digital stores also give you the option to create a wish list of games that you can check to see if any of them are on sale from week to week or sale to sale. And finally, determine your guidelines for evaluating games. Game ratings are a great place to start. Check out professional reviews and see what they are saying about the game. Also, look up gameplay videos on YouTube and consider the pricing of games. Maybe you can afford to buy one new game every 3 months, but you could buy 1 or 2 used games each month. Once you've set your standards for your household, it is important to communicate those standards. Repeating again, communicate, communicate, communicate. Review the standards that you set for the household with the entire household. Explain how and why you made the decisions that you did. For example, if you decide teen games only after 8 p.m., explain that it is because you have to wait for the younger children to go to sleep, or it's when homework is typically done by. Maybe you are saying no video games on weekdays because it affects their behavior. Maybe it's that you're setting the standard of no military or war games. Once you've reviewed your standards and guidelines for the household, share those standards with the people around you. For example, create a checklist of extended family, friends, caretakers, and parents of friends who you need to communicate your standards with. For parents of friends, talk with the parents of your children's friends and let them know what your standards are for video games, and also learn what theirs are as well. If a friend is over and an unacceptable title is suggested, help by redirecting to another title and ensure that that parent will do the same in their house. If you have any questions, post them down in the comments below and we'll get back to you soon. Thank you for watching.